Now, because no doubt you are going to remember some of these images right after we had that powerful storm in October. It slammed our state. Well, the Small Business Administration just opened a disaster loan outreach center at the Tempe Public Library. And so they'll be offering low interest loans to homeowners, renters, businesses who still may be feeling the impact. I know I have a lot of colleagues, too, who are just getting, back on their feet after all of this, fixing their homes. So joining us live in studio to talk more about it, you heard us a little bit there, is Christian Lee with the Small Business Association's Office of Disaster Recovery. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we want to talk a little bit more about the help that is available right now through SBA.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, we have a disaster loan outreach center open in the Tempe Public Library. It is Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, and then Thursday and Friday, it's 9 to 5. Basically, we're just here as a resource for anyone who may have been affected by the microburst. And that could be a lot of people. Arizona is unique in the fact that it is a tourist state. So whether someone was coming to Phoenix or they were going up to Flagstaff, people stop in a lot of towns. A lot of people are affected whenever there's a disaster.
Right. So that's what I was talking to you about. Okay, this is in Tempe, which we know was hit, essentially the hardest here.
For sure.
But it's not just for Tempe residents.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we help residents, homeowners, nonprofits, and businesses. So say your business was one that did not have physical damage, but you noticed after the storm there was a decline in your traffic in your business.
Yeah.
You may have had what we call an economic injury. And so we have a product that's designed to help you in that stead too.
Okay, so if I'm walking in, okay, let's say, and you can tell me for a business and for, just somebody who lives in these areas that were impacted, if I'm just walking in, what can I expect? Will I go one way for residents, one way for businesses? I mean, what am I looking for? I might not even know what to ask.
So sure, first thing I would tell people is come in, breathe, calm, reset. There'll be somebody that will greet you and they will get you registered. And you just really need to know what your damage was, whether it was home or business, where the address was, what you kind of feel the damage level was on your application. And it's a couple of basic questions, and it's not a long process at all, but it's a good resource to have because if we can have a completed application in our system, it stays in there for 6 months. So while you're figuring out whether there's going to be some grant money, while you're figuring out whether or not your insurance is going to meet the level of your damage, you still have some money earmarked to get you back financially whole.
Okay, so we did mention that you're there, you're going to be providing these low interest, loans for people. And when I hear loans, I'm thinking, wait, I don't want to have to do that. I mean, so what would you tell people?
So what I always tell people is I'm a little biased because I work for SBA, but I think we by far have the best interest, the best loan rates and just terms of anywhere. So our terms across the board are up to 30 years, 12 months with no interest, 12 months with no payment, and no penalty for prepayments.
Is this a specific disaster loan? Like, is that what this is designated
as?
Yeah,
so it's because of this specific disaster, just like the people who are in Gila are under declaration because of that specific disaster, but also Maricopa was one of the contiguous counties which was available for that because along the road back and forth, different businesses were affected.
Okay, so this is a specific disaster loan. I want to put that screen back up here so you can kind of walk us through, what exactly this loan is here, who will qualify for it? I mean, how do they work?
So this is for any homeowner, renter, nonprofit, or business that was affected because of the microburst. So the loan term, again, is up to 30 years, 12 months with no interest or payments. $14,000 or less requires no collateral. There's no fee to apply for it. The interest rates for businesses is 4%. For a nonprofit, it's 3.625, and for a homeowner, it's 3%. Now, this is not a varying rate. This is the rate that is locked in.
Wow.
So you think about a business that says, hey, I'm waiting for a grant, and I got a loan for $40,000, and then the grant comes in for $40,000. You could pay off your loan under that 12 months and have no interest and be done.
Okay, so are the loans specific, like I can only use them for certain things? I mean, what would I use this loan for?
Absolutely. So the loan is based upon what you say your injury is. So if you say, hey, I had $15,000 worth of damage to my roof, we expect that you would spend that money on your roof. Now, in the process of getting your repairs done, you find that your contractor comes in under budget. You're more than welcome to go back to your loan officer to see if you can reallocate funds to other things that were damaged within that process.
So they are for specific things when you talk to your loan officer?
Yeah.
Okay, and what kinds of things could I use it for? I mean, I mentioned the roof, right? But what if I lost personal effects?
Absolutely. So for a homeowner, we allow up to $500,000 loans for physical damage, and then $100,000 towards personal property. For a renter, we would do up to $100,000 for personal property. For a business owner, they can do up to $2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I do want to mention here that it is at 12 months interest free.
12 months interest free.
And
Absolutely.
then after that, you know,
Yeah.
those lower rates,
Yeah.
like you mentioned, though,
Absolutely.
that are locked in
Yeah.
here. Okay, so is there a deadline for people that they
Sure.
need to know? When do we have to apply by?
Sure. So the deadline as of right now is January 13th. But we do have a 60-day grace period. But we try to encourage people to get those applications in as soon as possible because, as I said, once it's in the system, it's there for 6 months. So it's a good thing to just kind of get it out the way and have it earmarked if you need it, but there's no obligation to accept the funds.
Okay, and so, I mean, you guys are going to be at the Tempe Center, you know, like I mentioned here, but what if I just can't make it out there, but I have damage?
Absolutely.
I need these resources.
So you also have the ability to go to sba.gov/disaster, or you can call 1-800-659-2955 and do an application over the phone. But even in that process, you eventually will get to the place where you have to submit documents, and that's why we have the centers open so you can deal with someone directly.
Wow. Okay. So the Small Business Administration, like we mentioned, opening up this disaster loan outreach center at the Tempe Public Library. Again, you do not have to be a Tempe resident. You don't have to live there for this. But what should I bring? What do I need to bring to you guys?
I would say have your driver's license, know your social, know your address, know the things that were damaged, and then just have general knowledge about yourself because when we start talking about debts, we may ask you, you know, what are your monthly bills? So you should have a general idea about those things.
Okay, this is such great information and hopefully a lifeline for people who are dealing with that
For sure.
at a time when everything is costing so much. You
Yeah.
know, our dollars are just not going as far. This is the last thing they need.
Yeah.
But there is some help out there. Christian Lee, thank you so much with SBA's Office of Disaster Recovery. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much
That's
for
going to be a huge help. All right.